Well, if you're not actually treating patients, how the hell do you know? You don't
Right.
know. It's all theoretical. Oh, but I have a study. Fuck your study. I don't give a
Right.
shit, because I actually see real people in real life.
For one, this idea that studies are not real life is just bizarre. There are indeed real people in these studies, and often dozens to hundreds of thousands, depending on the study design, which is far more than you would typically see in your clinical practice. It's also interesting that many carnivore diet proponents will just toss out the science when it doesn't suit their narrative, claiming that they don't care about the studies or that the studies are biased. But then they're also often pretty quick to cite research when they do think it suits their bias.
There's studies showing that in human athletes, you have carb-fueled athletes and keto athletes. The ketogenic athletes, the fat-fueled athletes, replenish their muscle and liver glycogen faster.
So it really makes you wonder, does he truly believe that nutrition research is just garbage and he's only citing research here to try to impress his followers? Or does he actually think that nutrition research can be valuable and he just uses this excuse that studies are garbage as a means to dismiss research without actually critically evaluating it, which does take a lot more time and expertise. And this isn't the only example. I saw similar things in my debate with him.
I think all studies have inherent flaws. The point is that there's mixed literature, and none of these studies are really all that great because a lot of them have all these confounding factors.
And to be clear, he's the one that cited the study we were discussing. I was just about to push back on some of the claims that he made about the study, and I asked him if he thought it was a good study, assuming that he did because he's the one that cited it in the first place. But you saw his response. So why even cite it if you're just going to throw it out once I start digging into the details? And he's not the only person that seems to flip-flop between whether studies are even worth discussing or not.
What the average person who's not a nutritionist, who is not a nerd like you and me, who's reading 10 or 20 nutrition studies a day.
So on the one hand, he says that he reads 10 to 20 nutrition studies a day, which is quite the commitment, but then he later says this.
It's the laughingstock of scientific research because it's just so uncontrollable. And when you find a tiny benefit or a tiny detriment, then you write up a paper and then that becomes, oh, look, there's 21 trials that all show this same thing. And it's like, yeah, okay, I can see. You're right. That's what the modern nutrition research shows.
I could not imagine dedicating the time needed to read 10 to 20 studies front to back every day while thinking that the field as a whole is garbage. In fairness, he does mention that there are certain studies he thinks are of quality, but 10 to 20 a day just seems quite unlikely based on his commentary. So this is another example of, yes, I read lots of studies, but also nutrition studies are trash. But the response from Dr. Gill of Nutrition Made Simple, great YouTube channel by the way, is just amazing.
You don't think that if the problem was low quality, we would see a scatter. And when we see trials comparing eggs to oats, and we have at least 3 or 4 or 5 of these that I've seen, all funded by the Egg Board, and we don't see blood pressure go up on oats in one of these trials, you don't think that it's strange to hold the belief that oats will definitely raise our blood pressure, definitely, even though we don't have a single trial that will support that.
When it's put that way, these comments from the carnivores just sound incredibly anti-science. But I want to hear from you. Do you actually think that they believe that nutrition science is just garbage and they only cite research to maybe try to sound impressive to their followers? Or do they actually believe that science is important and they just use that as a cheap cop-out to dismiss research they don't like? Or perhaps something else I'm not thinking of? Let me know in the comments below.